This is a comment on a performance of Contrapunctus #1, which was sent to me by someone here on YouTube for my comment or whatever I might say about it. It's being played on piano, which is fine. The thing about Bach is you can play it on any instrument, harmonica, whatever. It doesn't depend on an instrument, not like Couperin or Scarlatti, where it has to be harpsichord. It's not the case with Bach. So I like, there's a lot of very delicate, subtle freedom and expression in this, which I like. There's also a certain amount of audible care and not rigid, but it's sometimes it's very irregular. You drift, you do both ways. You may have reasons for those spots. Sometimes absolute metronomic perfection is what you want because it goes with the affect for some reason. Are you counting? Sometimes it seems like I hear you counting. If you were counting, I think you'd want to at least be counting 2 beats per bar, if not 1. Because when we get all these eighth notes, if they're all perfectly subdividing the quarter notes, it even gets hard to hear if they're different voices. It sounds like one voice even. Those sections where the left hand, the bass and the tenor voice are staggering eighth note quarter figures, it's very easy for them to sound like one voice. If those eighth notes are slightly misplaced, it makes it a lot easier to hear the voices. Of course, when you're doing it on piano, you can do all of these things with dynamics, but I'm kind of anticipating that you're going to be going into harpsichord, and so that's just an idea that I had about that. For instance, around bar 23, that left hand. It's my teacher made me play with every possible combination of voices. Soprano with bass, soprano with tenor, soprano with alto. Tenor with alto, tenor with soprano, tenor with bass. Then, once you could do out with the fingering that you're going to, and the hand that's going to ultimately be playing it, then to play 3 voices and be singing the 4th voice. When you go through all of that, you really know what the voices are doing. There's one place around bar 33, where suddenly the dynamics changed a lot. It got quite soft. I don't know whether you were really doing that, or it sounds like it might have been an editing or an equipment fault that was something suddenly shut down. Anyway, or you might feel you might have felt like you wanted that. It might have been a deliberate. We never want to deny the heart, but we want to be true to the style and the performance practice of the time. But the heart is your guide. If you don't have that and you do everything correctly, you're not going to have much. So let's say there's a spot where you you want to you just feel something so special, and you know how you usually do that on piano, and so you do that. What you want to do is honor that feeling, and then by what you know about performance practice, to find a way that you can satisfy your musicality and not break any rules. So now the rest of things were just rather general until you get to the ending. When we get to, well, actually going back to bar 63, at the entrance of that bass pedal point, that A, which incidentally has no way on harpsichord or piano of surviving those 3 3¾ bars or 2 3/4 bars. So you do need to discreetly keep that A alive. That's another art about how you can do that. But the arresting of the use of time as we've been having it throughout the fugue, with the arrival of that pedal point, is suddenly it's changed the piece. What does that indicate? It indicates a possible invitation to a little freedom. At the same time, not destroying the integrity of what's going on with the counter subjects above that. The rhythmic harmony, if you read the Putnam Aldrich Kernberger article, you know, that's all based upon the speed with which your harmony is changing. It dictates a lot about your tempo. Then what happens is the harmony, which has been changing on a quarter note level, on a half note level, or sometimes even 1 chord per bar, like at the beginning, 1 harmony per bar. We need more time. That's what Kernberger says. You need time. If the harmony is changing quickly, we want to hear that. So you have carte blanche now to start doing something here. Certainly, as you approach bar 70, there's an awful lot going on harmonically that we want to hear. So to let that broaden a little bit, I think is not at all going to be condemned for being romantic or anything by people who know. It's in the music. Then what happens? Those rests. If you go back, like before that pedal point, and you just count religiously 1, 2, 3, 4, right? You go right through, you go through the pedal point, you go through the harmony changes, you go through the rest, you go right up to that double bar where you bump against it. The piece to my mind, doesn't work to the potential of what I think is in there, those rests. There's no reason you can't stretch them as long as you're not putting in an extra beat. It's almost as though there's a fermata over the rest. Da, da. Then you get your cadence, which is slow then, right? And resolving their, well, you've got harmony changes on every beat in 76 as you're approaching the end. So normally I am anti just generic retards on ends of pieces. I mean, there are people that they retard the end of every fugue. In this fugue, I think you can have a slight retard. And certainly that descending B to that C sharp, we really want to hear that. You don't want to rush through that. And then you have your ornamented final chord. All those eighth notes after your soprano D, that's all ornamental. You don't want to be, they're not eighth notes. Don't think eighth notes or ands. Then you get to the trill. I agree heartily with putting an ornament on that final F sharp, but you don't want to start it on an F sharp. It should start on the G. And it could be played da 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 da. It doesn't have to be a zingy trill that has nothing to do with the world it's coming out of. We shouldn't, that trill should sound as musical as the notes that preceded it. You know, ornaments should always be thought of in context. That's why the tables of ornaments, they only tell you the ingredients. They never tell you how to play them. So I think that if you want to ornament that F sharp half note, I would somehow or other play it so that it's just something that comes out of those preceding 3 eighth notes. Well, I went on much too long, but I hope this was a little help or of interest.